Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Shelley Lynch. I'm the Public Information Officer for the FBI. I'm going to kind of go over what we're going to be able to share with you this morning. First, I want to thank you for being here. It's really important that 20 years after Asha Degree disappeared, you are all still here. We're all still here. I want you just to look around the room and see how many people are still working around the clock to try to determine what happened to Asha and to bring her home and to bring closure to Cleveland County. So how we're going to kind of run through things this morning is the sheriff will give some remarks to his community to talk about what this means to Cleveland County. Again, 20 years later, when Asha disappeared. And then I will run through some new materials that were just posted on FBI.gov this morning, which includes the new age-progressed photo that you just saw from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We also have a video that kind of details how that image was produced. We worked with the family to do that, to get photos from when they were around the same age that Asha would be today. And then the investigative team will take a few questions. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for driving out. It's hard to believe that Asha's been missing 20 years ago today. She's many things to Cleveland County. She's Cleveland County's sweetheart. And not only that, she's a granddaughter, a daughter, a sister, and she's now an aunt. With that in mind, 20 years ago is the anniversary, and the anniversary is today. There are many things that happened the night she disappeared that we do not know. And we're still looking for answers. And we believe someone in our community has those answers and the information that we are looking for to help bring her home. If you know what happened to Asha, I'm pleading with you today to please come forward. 20 years is too long to live with this burden. And you're living with it every day. It's time for the truth to be revealed. And it's time for Asha's family to have the answers they deserve. Not only the family, but this community. Thank you.
So we first have a video that was produced by FBI.gov, interviews that were done with the investigative team as well as with Asha's family.
Well, she is the type of child that would give you the shirt off her back. She never wanted anybody for anything. She wanted everybody to be a friend. She wanted everybody to be happy. After 20 years, I still believe my daughter is alive. I do not believe she's dead. And I know somebody knows something. I'm not crazy enough to think that a 9-year-old can disappear into thin air without somebody knowing something.
It was 20 years ago on Valentine's Day. Asha Degree disappeared in the middle of the night. The fourth grader is believed to have left home in the hours just before dawn, walking out of her house neighborhood near Shelby, North Carolina. Witnesses saw her walking along Highway 18 within a few miles of her home. A tipster reported she possibly got into a car. More than a year later, Asha's backpack turned up at a construction site 30 miles away. It raised new questions, but yielded few clues about the missing girl's whereabouts.
A search was done in that area. Same kind of situation. People were interviewed, evidence was collected and sent on. And until this day, Asha's still not been located.
So this is near the area where she was last seen.
Detective Tim Adams came out of retirement in 2014 to work the case for the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. He's on a team that includes the FBI Charlotte Field Office and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. These agencies have been on the case since Asha disappeared, but have recently redoubled their efforts. This new team, which first met in 2015, now meets regularly to sift through clues and evaluate new information and results from interviews. The case still generates hundreds of leads, including 45 in just the past year. The FBI is offering a $25,000 reward in the case, on top of a $20,000 reward posted by the sheriff's office and the community. Billboards are posted along local roads where Asha may have been before she disappeared. And the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children recently released an updated age progression photograph showing what Asha might look like today as a 29-year-old woman. The national nonprofit produced another age-progressed image of Asha 5 years ago.
What we're trying to do is provide hope-based images, tools to help families that have these long-term missing children in the hope that we can create an image that might have a child brought home.
The FBI asked for the new image and is updating the roadside billboard and its posters seeking information. Over the years, investigators have released a few potential clues in the case. In 2016, they published images of a car that may have picked up Asha. They believe it was a 1970s model Lincoln Continental Mark IV or a Ford Thunderbird with rust around the wheel wells. In 2018, investigators revealed 2 items found in Asha's book bag: a Dr. Seuss children's book from her school library, McElligot's Pool, and a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt, which didn't belong to Asha. Investigators are hoping anyone with information will come forward.
We will continue to pursue all avenues for finding out what circumstances led to her disappearance.
Asha's mysterious disappearance and the enduring questions surrounding it have shaken her hometown, a close-knit hamlet in the Carolina foothills.
House here on the left, the end apartment was Asha's apartment. I found somebody moved in now, they no longer live there. People still want to help. People still want to find her. And she has been called Shelby's sweetheart. And just because she's a child that one of her own that's gone missing, and we want to find out what happened to her.
For Asha's family, prayers and hope have sustained them for the past 20 years, but they need answers. Hoping this anniversary will be different, Aquila appealed directly to anyone who may have been involved in her daughter's fate to come forward and unburden themselves.
That's my prayer every night, that God will get into their heart and let them just come forward, or somebody that know them come forward, because it's got to be a way on them. We're hoping and we're praying that she's had a halfway decent life anyway, even though we didn't get to raise her. She was 9 years old and now she'll be 30 this year. So we missed everything. But I don't care if she walked in the door right now. I wouldn't care what I miss. All I want to do is see her.
And then there's a video that is from how the image was made by Nick Moon.
It's a combination of digital printing, photo compositing, borrowing features from not only the photos we have of Asha to create the age progression, but biological reference photos. It's me looking at the images, it's subjective on my part, but I can also get that feedback from the other artists that work here at NECMEC. So it's not just me looking at the image, it's the other artists looking too and giving their opinion. And it's sort of a big collaborative effort to put out the best possible image of what this child might look like at 29 years old. What we're trying to do is provide hope-based images, tools to help families that have these long-term missing children, and I hope that as part of the collaborative effort here at NECMEC, we can create an image that might have a child brought home.
So one of the things that we did with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was, as I said, get photos from the Degree family, photos from her parents, as well as her brother, who is 11 months older than she is. And then we also were able to get some input from Asha's mother. She told us, and when we went and spoke to her during that interview, that Asha looked more like her father's side of the family. Asha looked more like her father. She looked more like O'Brien, her brother, more like his side of the family. And we kind of gave that information to the National Center for Missing Exploited Children so that they could focus more on the photos that were from Harold's side of the family, because that would give kind of more of an accurate picture of what she might look like today. We also put a purple shirt on her because that is Aquila's favorite color. And we wanted to do things to give kind of a special touch for this family that has gone for 20 years and not known what's happened to their daughter. You can see right now today with the State Bureau of Investigation, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, we are all still very actively and jointly working this investigation. It is not sitting on a shelf. I know you sometimes think 20 years, that maybe people are not working on a case every day, but we are. These agencies are. You saw in the video some of the big pushes and the things that we've done over the past few years, bringing in the FBI's CARD team. Those are specially trained agents and analysts who work missing children's cases. And you have to think that there were a lot of things that we would do in an investigation today that we couldn't do 20 years ago. There were no surveillance images to look at. People did not have cameras on their homes. They didn't have a cell phone where they could immediately share information about a missing child, and that's why it's so important for someone to pick up the phone and to call us. We do have a lot of leads that we're looking at. We always do. But we know that there is someone who has information that can help us. So we'll take a few questions now.
You guys mentioned 45 tips, like just in the last year. What are those tips looking like? What do they sound like? Is it just people saying we think we saw her? Is it people saying that we, what do those tips look like? If you could describe maybe one or two in general, or is there a category that you can kind of bulk them under?
Well, some of the tips are repetitive information we've already seen over the years, and what we've tried to do is keep track of that information so we can go back and not spend a lot of time on it. But believe it or not, after 20 years, we still get information about people and names that have never come up in the investigation, so they're always valuable. We still believe there's probably someone out there that's got something that maybe we haven't heard before, and that's really what we're looking for.
Tim, what do you say to the people who say, 20 years, we know there have been thousands of tips. I don't know that there's anything new to add.
Well, like I just said, some people call and it is repetitive information, but this case, it's like Shelley said, it's not something that sits on the shelf. We still actively pursue it. We still want to appeal to that person. We believe somebody out there has some pieces of information we've not heard before. And we believe that because, like I say, some of these tips have information that we've never heard before. This valuable information is just not the piece we need that we found yet. So we still think there's something out there somebody can call and tell us.
I know you don't want to limit yourselves, but sometimes new technology provides opportunity. Is there an opportunity with the technology that we have to make inroads in this case in a certain area of this investigation?
Yeah, and I can't comment on evidence or anything, but there is technology. We're always looking at new things. We're looking at other cold cases that have been solved, trying to see how they were solved, and go in and look at that technology and see if it's useful in this case. So we still pursue that. Absolutely.
Can you all talk a little bit about the billboard partnership with putting up the new age breast photo?
Yeah, so it's twofold. One of the things that we did last week in time for the Degree family, every year they do an annual walk from where Asha was last seen to where one of the billboards is up on Highway 18. And the Sheriff's Office and the FBI got together and had that new age progressed photo updated, so that, when her family walked up that day, they would see that new photo as opposed to the one that had been there for a few years, and then we would, show the new one a week later. So we wanted them to see that. It was important for them to see that last week. And then we have a great partnership with the Adams Outdoor Advertisement Company, and what they do for us is when we have important campaigns like this, ones that we think if you're driving down the road and you see her face, that might compel you to pick up the phone and to call us when maybe in the past you didn't do that for some reason. If maybe your relationships have changed and you feel like you can talk about that now, it's a great tool. And we are grateful to Adams Outdoor Advertising for doing that for us. And so they will donate available space for us on a variety of billboards across the area. I do have a list that I can provide to you of where it will be put on 3 specific billboards, and then it will also be filled in and cycled in some other places as well. And that'll be running for the next 2 weeks. We'll also be pushing out these images on social media, on the Sheriff's Facebook page, and then also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children will help us to do that as well, and we hope you do as well to share that.
Do you have leads coming in that cause you to believe she may still be alive?
Well, just like the family, there's always hopes that she is still alive, and we do have some leads to that effect. Somebody may have saw the age progressed picture and saw her somewhere, but nothing has panned out that leads us to believe that right now. So we just don't know.
Communicating with the family, how are they doing right at this point?
Well, after 20 years, I think it's probably just as real to them now as it was then. It's hard for me to speak for them, but they're very cooperative with us. Anything we need at a moment's notice, they answer the call, but they still live with it on a daily basis.
If you don't mind, we've got some people here that I know was here again. I'd love to hear from some of you guys. I imagine nobody really thought that 20 years later we'd still be talking. Sheriff.
Yes, 20 years ago today, I was a shift commander on day shift when she was actually reported missing. Having a daughter that was within 18 months or so of her age, I can only fathom what that family has endured for the past 20 years. It has something special to me because she went missing under my watch, so to speak, when I was responsible for the sheriff's deputies that were actually patrolling the county. And I want to bring her home, and it's my responsibility to bring her home and to bring closure. And let me reiterate again that there's someone today that will hear this message. You're carrying the burden, and you've carried it for 20 years. And I want you to contact me personally to relieve yourself of that burden. And let's bring Asha home.
Sheriff, what was that day like? Would you remember what time the call went out? Do you remember it was morning?
Yes, it was
I'm
early
sure you
morning.
remember.
A thunderstorm had passed through Cleveland County earlier that day, in the early AM hours, with thunder. Quite a bit of thunder and lightning. At daybreak, the rain had subsided, and eventually, I believe it actually, the whole storm actually blew out, and there was sunshine for the remainder of the day. But I remember it like it was yesterday. And there's several in the room here today from the sheriff's office everyone in the sheriff's office that's up here with the command staff was employed. And one of the captains here was, to my right, Captain Gordon. He was actually on shift that day.
How much would that mean to you to have closure in this case?
I can't describe what it would be in words. We're talking a child, and we can go straight over to the detention center now, and every individual inside that detention center, 300 plus inmates, 99.9% of them can relate to a child. But it would be one of the highlights of my career to bring her home under my watch. She went missing under my watch, and I want her brought home under my watch.
Next question.
What, I guess, has been the biggest lead throughout the years? Was it finding that backpack, or that made you think maybe we're getting closer?
I don't know that I could point to any one particular lead. I obviously wasn't on the case in 2001 when the backpack was found, but think that would probably be the main thing. Finding that was the only